Welcome back. It is a High School Huddle. Glad you're checking us out, whether it be the live show or the replay. Don't forget, we're on all the socials, and if you haven't already, subscribe and like this channel as we built this, obviously, as you know, from the ground up this season. We went from a lot of subscribers to starting it fresh over. So subscribe, like. We certainly appreciate anything you can do for us. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. That's the big one. TikTok. All those fun socials. So, all right. Hey, we got a few things here. So the OSSAA, Jordan Davis did an article that was in the Oklahoman, a friend of the show. Coaches Confidential. Should OSSAA be disbanded? Local high school coaches answer. Of course, it's come up a few times in the past. A lot of the public schools, especially in Class 3A, did not like all the private schools with their success and what they deem as some advantages there. I think that's been kind of pushed back a little bit because of the transfer thing now.
Yeah.
But the Oklahoman had a media type day, and they asked these coaches, football, softball, and volleyball coaches, if they should be disbanded. Of course, it's anonymous, which is probably the right thing to do. Here's some of the answers that some football coaches said. I'm not sure that they have a fighting chance. He said yes. This coach said yes, they should be disbanded. He quote, "I'm not sure they have a fighting chance. I do not believe they have the manpower to govern the rules that are in place. I also hate the fact that their legs get cut out from under them by wealthy people with more powerful lawyers than the OSSAA has. They cannot do what their membership majority voted to do." That was one.
Glencoe, maybe?
But he said yes.
He said yes, they should be disbanded.
But then he, basically his words made it sound like he was supported the OSSAA.
He said they cannot do what their membership majority voted to do. Said they
Lack
lose
of manpower. Yeah.
Manpower.
Just hire more people.
Coach says, two coaches said indifferent. Yes and no. Depends on the next governing body. Too many execs take too much money from playoff hosts. No incentive for hosting playoffs. Could easily do more to make it a better experience for student athletes. Another coach says they're indifferent. Quote, I'm not sure if it. I do not think there is definitely some waste in admin pay at the OSSAA that should go back to the schools. Example is the playoff hosting percentage that was changed a while back. And, you know, I don't know the details of the hosting. I know there's some travel that the OSSAA gives back, but as far as hosting, and it has come up in the past. I've heard it before about baseball schools. Why would I want to host? Why would Stillwater football? Why would they want to host a big football game? Because that's between the East and West when they're playing in a semifinal game, and right. So you know, I've heard some of those discussions before on that deal.
Well, last year we had a couple of schools over there in the East that want to host Jinx and Owasso, and it ended up being at Claremore, and they brought through fit of that. Well, people said no to hosting.
Yeah, well, and that was one of the big deals when the football coaches wanted to split 2A, A, and B. Like, well, we can do that, but we're going to have more. We're going to need more teams, schools that want to host. If you want all these more divisions, we're going to have more. We're going to have more games. Therefore, you're going to have to host more. So, here are some of the coaches said no, they should not be disbanded. Here's a few quotes. No, a governing body is necessary for such a large number of schools, top to bottom, but changes definitely need to occur. Another coach. No, but they need to go talk to the UIL in Texas, which that's the governing body for high school sports there, and see what they do and how they do it. Another coach, no, we must have a governing body to embrace and protect high school sports. Another coach, no, legislators should stay in their lane. And another quote,
Amen.
Another quote, no, because there will be no rules and will turn into the wild, wild west.
Exactly. It already is.
Softball coaches, no, but they need to be better in fair across the board. It's not hard to do what's best for the athlete. Another coach, no, we have to have a governing body or it would all become chaos. No, what other association would take over? Another coach, no, because high school sports need a governing body. A couple of cross-country coaches, they are not perfect, but I think they're doing the best they can with what they have. Another cross-country coach, no, they have more positive influence than negative. Volleyball coaches, two of them. We'll finish up here with their quotes. First coach, I think a governing body is good, but I think more things should be able to be discussed and adjusted as sports evolve. And the final quote, I believe it's a good thing to have in place, but there are rules that could be modified. There's a lot of that I can agree with. I mean,
Not a whole lot of context though in some of those replies.
Yeah, I'm sure it's just a coach at their deal and they fill it out real quick.
And those opinions are going to be based on their experiences.
That's a big point.
I mean,
if you ask the Glencoe coaches, they're probably not real high on that.
Not real high on the OSSAA right now.
Yeah.
But I think for me anyway, and we've said this numerous times. Somebody mentioned, one or two mentioned there. You got to have somebody that governs the process.
You disband the OSSAA, you bring in another group, and they're not going to be happy with that group either, right?
There's going to be decisions made they're not going to like. You cannot put it on the shoulders of the individual districts or for them to police it themselves. It would be the Wild West. I just, I hope this isn't something that really gains any kind of legs because it'll be chaos.
It would be.
It'll be chaos.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I agree. I think one of the coaches said there, I think they do best with what they have.
Yeah.
I totally agree with that. And a lot of times, like the shot clock, for example, the OSSAA will send information out to the membership schools, and if 85% of them say we want this or that, then they take it to the board and say, hey, we had 85% of the people say this. Right. And then the board usually goes what the membership schools say. Now, there's sometimes it's 50-50, like the shot clock a couple years ago. It was like the small schools want it or didn't want it. The large schools did want it. So, which will be implemented, I think, next year for the big schools. But it's not going to be a perfect system. And I think there's some language we learned with the Glencoe case. Yep. There's some language that they can clean up. We've talked with some people associated outside of the OSSAA and said they could clean up some language in there on some things. So I think another coach said, I think they do the best what they have. I agree.
Well, and I think somebody made a reference, it's simple, do what's best for the kids. Well, 98% of the time, for example, they approve appeals. Transfers, 98% of the times. I know this is because we know the staff down there. They're not looking for ways to make things more difficult for the member schools.
Yeah.
I mean, they are trying to do the best they can, and you have a lot of sharp people down there. So, I mean, I just don't buy into it. It's like we seem to be a society now that wants to throw the baby out with the bathwater every time something they don't like.
Yeah.
And that's chaos to me. So I think maybe, if they need more staff, then we need to create more revenue to them so they can hire more staff. I mean, there's a lot of ways you can look at this, but I do know this. The people that are doing it are good people that are working their tails off trying to do what's right for the member schools and, most importantly, the kids.
Yeah, and this is a group that gets hit all the time.
All the time.
I mean, you have over 400 schools across the state. Surely 5 at one time is not going to be happy about something, right?
I'm not happy with myself about 50% of the decisions I make. So, I mean, it's just an unrealistic expectation.
In my previous life, when I was working in a different business, we'd have different administrations all the time.
Yep.
And I didn't like all of them at the same time, but they all did their best. And people, they're different styles. I mean, it's just, like I said, we kind of know them, and we know they're trying their absolute best. I mean, it's just, you're never going to be happy. There's not going to be one association that's going to come in and take over because you're mad at them, and then you're going to be, oh, these guys are perfect. It's just not going to work that way.
Well, I always, with things like this, I go, what's the culture there with the organization you're talking about? It's a culture of wanting to do what's right for the schools and the kids. That is the culture that's there.
Yeah.
Now there's nuanced things you can look at, like you said, Chris, Ronnie, you pointed out too. That's fine. Evaluate those if you can make little tweaks. But to just throw the baby out with the bathwater, that's insanity.
Yeah. And you got to remember
crazy.
You got to remember a lot of people don't know what makes up the OSSAA. It's superintendents on the board of directors, but you have Mr. Jackson, who used to be an athletic director at Pauls Valley. You have former coaches. I don't want to get into all of them, but they're all coaches
or administrators.
Yeah. Who have been in these positions of
successful coaching too.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
State championships.
Absolutely. So anyway, we'll continue to follow that. Like you feel, I don't think it needs to go much further than what it is.
But what I do worry about is our legislators getting in the middle of it.
That'd be
and the way that works, Phil, is I'm just talking to people. If I don't want to bring up a specific school, but let's say I live in
make one up.
Jamaica, Missouri.
There you go.
And Jamaica, Missouri got wronged on something. It's
gorgeous.
Well, if I'm the state legislature from Jamaica, Missouri, I'm going to make you and you happy because I'm going to go fight it over here. Now I'm going to get reelected because I'm going to make you happy because I'm fighting for you, Phil. And I'm all about Jamaica. Now vote for me here in a couple of weeks, but I'm fighting hard for you.
You know, you can donate up to $5,500 if you'd like. I just think it's legislators have bigger problems to worry about than what's going on with high school sports, and I think high school sports needs to be mature enough at the school level, the parent level, and the OSSAA, which I believe they already are, to come together and make good decisions. And I think that happens currently. But like you said, everybody's not always going to be happy. Part of the reason why I have this conversation, there's been, over the last 24 months, there's been some real significant decisions made. And then anytime you have a case that becomes, because the lawyers wanted to make it so public, when you put such a big spotlight like the recent Glencoe situation, everybody starts talking about it. You know, as long as things cool down a little bit, everybody forget about it and they'll go and get back to business. But
they also want them to hire more people in, but then here in about 8 years the NFHS contract's going to be up. So where are they going to make up that money if they don't get renewed?
Ticket gates. At the gates.
Gates and
then they're going to be ridiculed for having $25 tickets.
They're going to be mad about that.
Right.
Listen, everything in the world takes money, guys. It doesn't just fall off the trees.
I know. I can't eat as much steaks. Those things are expensive.
Steaks are bad for you.
Okay, of course, Phil.
Yeah.
All right. Good discussion. We'll talk more about that. Hopefully never.